Hi, welcome to 7th grade science. I'm Kuilani Sendlakowski, and I'll be your science teacher this year. Just a little about me. I grew up in the Seattle area. I've been teaching on Mercer Island for 22 years, and this 25 is actually because I've been teaching for a quarter century. I have been teaching middle school for a majority of that. So I've been at Islander Middle School for about 13 years, I think. This is my little small family. I'm super close with my family, my small one and my large one. And my daughter is currently a freshman at Tufts University. We have one child. So I have to tell you that the hardest thing I've ever done is leave her in Boston this summer, right before I came back to teach. 7th grade science is a really packed year. We do basically the introduction to both chemistry and biology. Chemistry is contained to the front part of the year, so through December. And then once we come back in January, we roll into biology. Our units are very lab focused and really centered around developing concepts while we're developing practices at the same time, science and engineering practices. So collecting data might be one of those. The idea is all of our work is grounded by the next gen science standards. And within those next gen science standards, we are really going to be grading based on those standards. So a standards-based grade means that a 3 is what we're shooting for. And generally in the beginning of the unit, you should expect your child probably to be at a 1 or a 2. And then the goal is to work towards that 3. Of course, there's a 4 opportunity. It's really their ability not only to understand the concepts and practices, but to be able to apply it in a variety of different ways. So for example, with this unit, we are looking at science processes. And we are going to be also focusing on the science and engineering practice of asking questions. So you can see on my proficiency scale that the kids will get, and you will have access to actually already do on Schoology. To get a 3, you not only have to be able to apply some concepts from science processes, but also ask good investigative questions for this unit. Every unit will be a slightly different concept, obviously, but also a different practice. In 7th grade science, we need a notebook specifically for science. We write our notes there, and it allows us to prepare ourselves to have a resource for tests and quizzes. The Matter textbook is actually going to be put online. So once we start Matter, which will be in a few weeks, I will put a textbook folder on Schoology, and they'll have access to it that way. In January, when we start biology, they'll end up with this giant traditional biology book that they will take home and then use for that semester. I have 2 ways that I communicate, well, several ways that I communicate with you, but 2 ways are Schoology and Skyward. Schoology is really meant to be for the students, so it gives them access to the calendar, digital copies of the assignments, and then feedback. Skyward is where I'm going to be communicating, this communication between the 3 of us. In other words, I'm telling you kind of where they are in their journey towards meeting standard. The thing to pay attention to, one of the things that will exist there are assessments. So those might be quizzes, those might be labs, those might be in-class assignments, but those are things that I'm going to grade using that proficiency scale, and it'll be on a 4, 3, 2, 1. Those end up to create the pattern that eventually becomes their cumulative score. So the cumulative score is basically the grade, and that cumulative score is created by the pattern of scores on the assessments. So it's going to be something to watch. And again, don't be surprised if your child starts at a 1 or a 2, and then the goal is to move towards that 3. Obviously, there's other skills that we're teaching. Behavior pieces are going to be assessed using this habits of learning rubric. For example, handing in work on time or putting effort into your work is going to be assessed using the daily work, and it's going to be in a work ethic category. You're going to see that I will actually score those on a 4, 3, 2, 1, but it's going to be using this rubric. And the idea is if they hand in their work on time, and it's generally done, they earn a 3. If they not only do that, but there's definitely an indication of quality or paying close attention to directions or all of those other small skills that we're working on, they may bump up to a 4. If it's late or only partially done when handed in, it would be a 2 or a 1. And in that way, you guys can keep track of where they are behavior-wise. I really do feel like those daily assignments are helping them practice skills in their journey towards standard. But just know that these are going to be in Skyward, but they won't count towards the final grade. So it's just meant to be an opportunity for them to practice things without, I guess, feeling the pressure of that looming score. So that will be put on Skyward again, but it's a no count score. So you want to be paying attention to that as well. Some closing ideas. There's a lot of ways to support your child. I know that independence is what we are shooting for. So encourage your child to communicate with me. I prefer Schoology messaging. Obviously, they can approach me in class. Learning to communicate with adults or, authority figures is actually a really important skill. And one that you're welcome to help them with, but the goal obviously is for them to start doing that themselves. I also run Homework Center. That's new this year, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and it's from 3 to 4 in my classroom. So they can come and ask any questions that they have, or if they miss a lab, they can make that time up. I would also encourage you to teach them how to use a planner at home. So I mean a paper pencil planner, or if they prefer one using technology. And yeah, the idea is organizing their time. It's going to be a skill that they're going to use in the future. Thanks so much for your attention. If you want to have any questions or want to get in touch with me, feel free to email.